Welcome back to the Hannahcast YouTube channel, and today it is time to predict the Oscars once again. And this week we're doing director and the screenplay categories, and this is for July. So might as well get into it. There have been some updates, like well, for one, Life of Chuck just continues to like bomb so badly at the box office. It's kind of dead at the water at this point. Trying to think of what else. Also, we do have a somewhat new contender, even though granted we've had our eyes on it, for a while now. But it's Rental Family, and at least according to Next Best Picture, it's looking to legitimately be a big, like, Oscar player, and it's fascinating because it's also like one of the few like woman directed films in the race for the Oscars, because I genuinely do not think the Catherine Bigelow political thriller, like, what was it, House of Dynamite, is just not going to be an Oscars thing. It's going to be like a Netflix thriller content film, because like that's like you don't like no like an Oscar film just does not get titled House of Dynamite. No. So I think House of Dynamite is dead. And yeah, granted, it will be. We will have to see, how Sound of Falling does. But again, I don't know about that. But however, with something like Rental Family, I mean, granted, we still don't know anything. Like, we don't know the trailers. Like, there's been no trailers yet. But apparently, the buzz for that film is like really, really good. So I might put it into Best Picture. But then again, at the same time, it's also an original screenplay, and original is already so packed up. So I don't know. But still, with director, I still think Ryan Coogler is winning. Again, like, he's in a weird situation right now because he is in like a big blockbuster. He's directing a big blockbuster, and the Academy just does not tend to like those all that much. At least in the Best Director category, the director's branch is very gatekeepy about that. They gatekept Christopher Nolan from Inception, and then there was other films that got stumped for director that were also like big, large scale, blockbusters like The Martian, Dune Part 2, Dune Part 1 actually, Wicked, Barbie, All Quiet on the Western Front. These were large scale films that had like a blockbuster like edge to them, and they got snubbed out of Best Director. So Sinners is in a weird situation. Again, my position on Sinners is still the same. I feel like either Ryan Coogler is going to win Best Director, or he is not going to get nominated. But it's weird. It's a weird game of like 4D chess, because like if Ryan Coogler is winning Director, then I think Sinners is winning Best Picture. But if Sinners is not, doesn't get nominated for Director, I don't think it's going to win Best Picture. And then there's another aspect to the 4D chess thing, which is now almost an 8 D chess, where you have Sentimental Value. And I think that could probably win the BAFTA. And it's weird with Sinners, because I feel like Sinners needs to do well at the guilds, which I think it will do. But at the same time, it doesn't need to win a lot of BAFTAs, but I do think it needs to be nominated for a lot of BAFTAs. Again, picture, director, screenplay. If Sinners can secure those nominations at BAFTA, I think it's safe at the Oscars, even if something like Sentimental Value beats it at the BAFTAs. It's weird, because I do have Sentimental Value at number 1, but at the same time, I don't think Sentimental Value is going to win that many guilds. That's my thing. I don't think it's going to win DGA. I don't think it's kind of tough to say. So, but because it's such a big contender and whatnot, I think I will put Sentimental Value at number 2. But because I just don't think anything is going to be as big or like as much of a filmmaker's vision as much as Sinners right now. But again, who knows where the precursors will lead us. I still have Sentimental Value. No, not Sentimental Value. It was just an accident in director. Now, I know some people are putting in accident in, what was it? Are putting accident in director without picture. Nope, nope, nope. Don't do that. Like, I said this when the Zone of Interest, or at least during the Zone of Interest year, like, in a year of 10 nominees, you don't get nominated for director, and the film does not come along for Best Picture. That just does not happen. And people were convinced, well, I mean, the Zone of Interest could get nominated for director without the film getting a Best Picture. And I'm like, nope. If there's 10 nominees, it's gonna get in picture if it's in director. And here's the thing. Because, like, with, with previous years where you look at the films that were nominated for director and not picture in the expanded era of Best Picture, well, for one, even in 2010 and 2011, all the director nominees still got into Best Picture. And then they changed the rules to where Best Picture had to fluctuate between, like, 8 and 9 or whatever, instead of a locked down 10. And so, what ended up happening was that sometimes you would see films get nominated for director, but not picture. But let's take a look at some of those examples. Foxcatcher. I mean, when you look at the package that it got, which was director, screenplay, actor, supporting actor, makeup, it's like, it would have easily been number 9 for Best Picture. Especially since the number 10 slot is really hard to find. Like, you could maybe argue it was Nightcrawler, but I don't know. Would it have been Gone Girl? Well, it didn't even get nominated for Adapted Screenplay. So Foxcatcher would have been like a very easy number 9. And even look at something like Cold War. I think Cold War would have gotten into Best Picture with a lineup of 10. Because, yeah, it got nominated for director. And you look at some of the other contenders, it's like Mary Poppins Returns was never going to get into Best Picture. A Quiet Place was never going to get into Best Picture. 8th Grade was not going to get into Best Picture. And so you can make an argument, well, and also First Man was clearly not in Best Picture either. So you can make an argument that the last two for Best Picture that year would have been, what was it? The Barry Jenkins film, If Beale Street Could Talk, and Cold War. I just don't really see it's really hard to find what else could have actually legitimately have gotten in. And then there was the pandemic year where another round got into director without Best Picture. But again, look at what happened at the BAFTAs. The BAFTAs, were very warm towards that film. So, yeah. And then there's also, what was it? And not only that, but it's like when you look at what could have gotten into Best Picture, again, you have another round, and number 10 is kind of hard to figure out, because, like, would it have been Ma Rainey, because it didn't even get screenplay? Would it have been One Night in Miami, but, like, it didn't really, yeah, it got PGA and Critics' Choice, but it's like, I don't know. But it wasn't really competitive to win anything. So I think you can make a very solid argument that, yeah, another round would have made it into Best Picture in a year of 10. So, yeah. And so, really, I do think if a film is getting into director in a year of 10, it's going to get into Best Picture, and I think that's going to be, it was just an accident. Sure, I don't think it's going to be as much of a precursor juggernaut as, like, let's say, Sentimental Value. I think Sentimental Value is more like, Roma or Emilia Perez or Parasite, where it just kind of gets in everywhere because it's that strong of a film. But Accident, I feel like, is going to be that film that mainly shows up at BAFTA. As long as it shows up at BAFTA in director and maybe even screenplay, it's good. I think it's going to get more. I think it's going to take the path of something more like, what was that movie called? It was Drive My Car. Even though I think, unlike Drive My Car, it's going to be Sentimental Value winning international feature rather than Accident. Begonia, Yorgo Lanthimos, he's probably going to get nominated for director again. And then you have Jay Kelly. I think that Jay Kelly in general is just going to be like a top 5 film. I don't know if it's going to win anything, but you will sometimes see, just like generally strong contenders in director. So there's that. But then again, I don't know. You could maybe also make an argument for Andrew Peterson for The Life of Chuck. But at the same time, we don't really know what's going on with the rivals of M. Zia King. I mean, I think there is a chance it could get into director, but at the same time, again, it's just like, No studio has picked it up, but I still do think, like, if someone like A24 grabs it could still get in, because I'm not really convinced of a lot of other things, like Paul Thomas Anderson for the One Battle After Another. I just don't think so, because One Battle After Another just seems like a film, like, well, for one, it might not even get into Best Picture. That's the thing. It might flop at the box office, and Warner Bros. Will probably more so want to push Sinners, which is a very likely option. And so, yeah. And even then, it's like, I just, the fact that Paul Thomas Anderson is going more commercial with One Battle After Another, it kind of shows that he's not no, maybe not regarding, him or whatever, but it's like the fact that he's going more commercial with One Battle After Another, I think is not going to be a good thing for the director's branch, because they like the more auteur driven stuff. They don't really like it when films are directed more commercially. And just look what happened with Edward Berger for Conclave. It was more of like a studio kind of directing film, and the director's branch of the Academy snubbed him. I mean, the only time they probably, like, one of the few times where they didn't do that was like with James Mangold for A Complete Unknown. But at the same time, A Complete Unknown was surging at the right time, and B, James Mangold had kind of been around for a while, and he'd never really been nominated for director, so you could argue it was a narrative going in his favor. So there's that. And then there's Hikari for Rental Family, which maybe she could get nominated, but I need to, like, I mean, granted, I do have Rental Family in picture right now, but I still want to hold off to put her in director to see what the trailer actually looks like and stuff. But yeah. Scott Cooper for Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. I don't think he's going to have the same narrative that, like, James Mangold did. I mean, technically, he's been around in Hollywood for a while, but at the same time, James Mangold had been, like, making consistently acclaimed films for a while, and has had, because A Complete Unknown got nominated for Best Picture, Ford v Ferrari got nominated for Best Picture, Logan got nominated for Adapted Screenplay, Walk the Line would have made the Best Picture lineup if there were 10 films. So I don't think Scott Cooper has that kind of same narrative. And James Cameron for Avatar: The Way of Water, even if, this film gets into Best Picture, I don't think he's going to come along with it. I mean, Avatar: The Way of Water couldn't do that. And Avatar: Fire and Ash, I don't think is going to do that either. I don't know if I initially said The Way of Water and made that mistake, but it's Avatar: Fire and Ash. Like, he didn't get nominated for Avatar: The Way of Water, so I don't think he's going to get nominated for Avatar: Fire and Ash. And he might do even worse, because even the Golden Globes have massively changed, since Avatar: The Way of Water. So he might not even get a director nomination there. I mean, good God, they didn't even nominate Denis Villeneuve for Dune Part 2. Bradley Cooper for Is This Thing On? Again, I took this out of Best Picture, but if this were in Best Picture, I think he would get some director nominations, but I don't think it would ultimately result in an Oscar nomination. Clint Bentley for Train Dreams. I am now really paying attention to Train Dreams to see if that could squeeze into picture. But again, I'm not entirely sure of how this is going to go down. And especially since, like, I was talking with Matt Neglia from Next Best Picture. He said that Train Dreams is not really like The Power of the Dog, where it's like going to be like competitive in a lot of text. So that's interesting. What else? Oh yeah, there is also, I hope I can pronounce his name correctly. Kleber Mendonca Filho for The Secret Agent. If this film were in Best Picture, maybe, but I don't want to just automatically assume I'm Still Here is just going to happen again. So again, we'll have to see how that goes down. James L. Brooks for Ella McKay. I am very much paying attention to Ella McKay, but again, I have too many 20th Century Studios films in Best Picture right now, and I can't do 3. That's too many. What is it? Bill Condon for Kiss of the Spider Woman. I mean, maybe, but then again, I don't know. Again, we don't I still want to see how the fall festivals react to Kiss of the Spider Woman and see if that bumps the score up anymore on Rotten Tomatoes. Or even like Letterboxd or whatever. Park Chan-wook for No Other Choice, but again, I'm not even sure if No Other Choice is coming out this year. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. I know Neon is backing this film, but again, Neon has a lot of films right now, so I don't know how many they can juggle. Again, if this were in Best Picture, absolutely he would get nominated, but right now, I don't know. Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme. I mean, I've just always been kind of doubtful of Marty Supreme because it's like the Safdies just don't make Oscar friendly films. They don't make films that audiences really like. So I can't. I will have to see how this film turns out. What is it? Mona Fastvold for Ann Lee. Again, the only major Best Picture thing that she and Brady Corbet have made is The Brutalist, and so again, I need to see the response for this. John M. Chu for Wicked for Good. Even if this were in Best Picture, I'd be very convinced he's not going to get in because of the blockbuster bias. If I'm already a little bit worried for Ryan Coogler potentially missing, then you bet your ass John M. Chu is going to miss. Unless somehow Wicked for Good is winning Best Picture, I don't think he's going to get nominated. No. Luca Guadagnino for After the Hunt. No. Again, he's like very anti-Oscars. His movie, like general audiences don't really like his movies all that much. Mike Flanagan for The Life of Chuck. Again, this movie's really dead. No one's watched it. Roma Day-Lewis for Anemone. Now, from what I've heard, Daniel Day-Lewis is not just doing this for his son. This movie as his son. Apparently, he's not only really good in it. So I'm kind of wondering, like, if this could maybe be a Best Picture contender. Edward Berger for the Ballad of a Small Player. From what I've heard, it's more like a psychological thriller kind of thing. It's like, oh, okay. Again, we'll have to see. Benny Safdie for The Smashing Machine. Guillermo del Toro for Frankenstein. I'm very, very convinced Frankenstein's not going to happen. Like, it's a remake of a horror monster movie. It's not going to get nominated for Best Picture. That's like trying to predict Nosferatu for Best Picture. Hell, it might not even get as many nominations as Nosferatu did. Chloe Zhao for Hamnet. I've always been kind of like, I don't know about this film. Nia DaCosta for Hedda. Seeing the image, I don't know. I'm not really sure if this is really going to be an Oscar player, really. But we'll have to see. And then Cornel Mundrushko. I probably mispronounced that so bad. I'm sorry. For At the Sea. Again, I don't know. I'm not really sure. I need to see more from this. Then we get to original screenplay. And again, I have Sinners winning here. Now, I know an award expert, they have Sinners winning director, but not original screenplay. But here's the problem. That's assuming, Ryan Coogler sweeps director everywhere. And I don't think he's going to. I don't think Ryan Coogler is just going to, just waltz into the Oscars like Christopher Nolan did or like Chloe Zhao did with, every precursor win. I don't think that's going to happen. I do think this year is going to start off pretty chaotic. We're going to be throwing some curveballs at the Globes or something, and maybe even Critics' Choice, and no one's really going to know what to do. People are probably going to not be so sure as to what's exactly happening. And what have I been saying the past few weeks? When the Oscar season is chaotic, or at least starts off chaotic, the Academy usually puts all their votes in one basket. They put all their eggs in one basket to try to guarantee that their favorite film gets an Oscar win. Again, we saw this with The King's Speech. The King's Speech started to surge with not only the BAFTAs but also the guilds, and so the film won director, screenplay, and picture. Similar things have happened since then, like with a Parasite. Again, it started off chaotic, but the more award season went on, it started looking. Granted, even up to the day of the Oscars, a Parasite win was like, oh, I don't know, maybe not. No one could have predicted Picture, but again, because it was so chaotic, and Parasite was kind of surging. The Academy decided, like, what the voters did was put all their eggs into the Parasite basket, so they could guarantee that Parasite would win Picture, Director, and Screenplay, or at least one of them. But if everyone's putting all their votes in one basket, with the intention of Bong Joon-ho at least winning one of those, then usually he ends up winning all of them. And then we've had similar things like Everything Everywhere All at Once. It started off chaotic, but at the end of the day, Picture, Director, Screenplay. And then this year with Anora, Picture, Director, Screenplay. And then let's look at other years where the director and screenplay winners split up, like the Oppenheimer year. Christopher Nolan was bulldozing through the directing awards. You know, Golden Globe, Critics' Choice, DGA, BAFTA. It was an unequivocal sweep. And because he was sweeping, that allowed the Oscars to give American Fiction Best Adapted Screenplay, because they were like, well, Christopher Nolan's already going to win Director. We can give American Fiction something. And then I'm trying to think of like another year. Oh yeah, probably almost to an even more extreme, The Power of the Dog. Because granted, that was originally supposed to win Best Picture, but everywhere during award season, Jane Campion was winning Director. It wasn't until like the last minute where Coda was surging when it won Picture and Screenplay. And that's where the split happened. I mean, hell, even the split happened at BAFTA. Because again, it was just so obvious that Jane Campion was winning Director that they felt like they didn't need to give her adapted screenplay. And then another example of this, we can go to the previous year, which was the Nomadland year. Again, Chloe Zhao swept everywhere for Best Director. But because she kept sweeping Best Director, the Academy decided to go, all right, we'll just give you, we'll give The Father Best Adapted Screenplay because we know that Chloe Zhao is winning Best Director. We don't have to worry about that. And then so on and so forth. There are, like, the only times where, really the only times where you see the director and screenplay split up is when one film is clearly winning everything, and the Academy goes, okay, well, we can give this award to someone else. Whereas, again, what I previously said, when the year is chaotic, that's when they put all their eggs in one basket. And I just don't think Sinners is going to bulldoze award season. I don't think it's going to. Or at the very least, it's not gonna bulldoze early awards season. I think it's going to do extremely well at the guilds. I can't imagine how Sinners would not win original screenplay at the Writers Guild Awards. But do we really think Sinners is going to win very strongly at the BAFTAs? I don't think so. And again, because of that, I have to predict that the Oscars are going to put all their eggs in one basket. And plus, we don't know how the Golden Globes are going to go. Will the Golden Globes give, Sinners, director or picture or something like that? I'm not sure. But so again, because I am predicting an early chaotic year for the Oscars, I'm predicting the precursors to be a bit chaotic at first, so we don't really know what's going to win Best Picture. I am going with the assumption that Sinners is going to get saved by the guilds, and I probably also perform very well at Critics' Choice, but mainly the guilds are going to go absolutely nuts for Sinners, because let's face it, sentimental value is not really going to play that strongly at guilds. So, because I feel like it's going to be a mess of award season, I think the Oscars are going to put all their eggs into the Sinners basket. But again, I do think sentimental value is number 2, because I do think it could win the BAFTA for original screenplay. Hell, it might even win the BAFTA for best film. So yeah, and Jay Kelly, I think, will just be a strong contender. Begonia. Sure. Wait. Ah, man, I just realized. Shit. Okay, fixed it. But yeah, it was just an accident. Again, I feel like if it ultimately gets into picture, it's going to get into screenplay. We've seen this happen before, like with the Zone of Interest. That got into screenplay, despite people not really predicting that would happen. At least not with Barbie going into adapted, and it leapfrogged over Killers of the Flower Moon. And then you also had Drive My Car, which got into adapted screenplay, when really its only precursor was BAFTA. So again, I am going to predict that this is going to happen with Accident as well. And then Rental Family, well, it's like, if it's in Best Picture, really the only, the only, above the line things it could get would be like acting nominations and screenplay. And if it's like a very dialogue heavy movie, then maybe that could happen for Rental Family. Again, the Rivals of Mosaic King, I keep taking it out of a lot of categories. So it's like, I'm wondering, like, it is kind of odd. But again, we'll have to see what happens. What was it? Oh yeah, Ella McKay. This could get into screenplay too. This could definitely get into screenplay. I mean, yeah, especially if it's pretty close to Best Picture. But again, it's just like, I don't know. It is really tough. And again, original screenplay is so packed right now. The Secret Agent, if it got into Best Picture, probably. But again, that's the thing. Like how strong are these films in Best Picture? So yeah. After the Hunt, no, at least I'm not thinking. I mean, again, if it were somehow strong in Best Picture, probably. But again, I'm not really counting on that because, again, Luca Guadagnino's movies are not really Oscars appealing. Marty Supreme, if it got nominated for Best Picture, fine, yeah. Anemone, Anne Lee, The Smashing Machine, At the Sea, the same thing with all those. So, yeah. Trying to think, yeah, I can't really think that I'm missing anything. And then here's the really chaotic category. Adapted screenplay. Because we don't have a lot of Best Picture films in here. And again, there is a good chance One Battle After Another could just not get into Best Picture. I mean, hell, with One Battle After Another, I literally only have it getting nominated for picture and screenplay. That's not... Now... Like, I know some people are going to look at me weird, like, what? Picture and screenplay, that's really low. But it's like, it has happened. It does happen when you expand the lineup to 10 films. Like, it does result in films that only get picture and screenplay. This happened the last 3 years. Like, with Nickel Boys, Past Lives, and Women Talking. So it's like, it can happen this year. But I do think Begonia is going to win, because like I don't really see what else is really win competitive. Again, One Battle After Another looks like it's going to be a bottom 5 Best Picture film, and I don't really see, even having seen the trailer, like the full trailer, I don't know if it really sounds like an Oscar-winning screenplay. Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. If it's in Best Picture, then it can still get it here. Not, Wake Up Dead Man. All the Knives Out movies have gotten into adapted screenplay. This will too. And then I'm going to put in Train Dreams. Because, Train Dreams could happen. Although, granted, this is the only nomination I seem to have it getting, which is a bit of a risk. But again, I'm not really convinced of a lot of other things. Ballad of a Small Player, it might not be very strong at all. It might be, not appealing to the Oscars. Life of Chuck, I mean, maybe the Writers Guild Awards, sure. But, this film doesn't really seem to... It doesn't really seem to... have caught people, really. It just keeps flopping in the box office. No Other Choice, I don't know, we'll see what happens with BAFTA. Frankenstein, it could get Writers Guild. Superman could get Writers Guild, although I don't think it's going to get nominated for the Oscars for adapted screenplay. It's not that strong. But, again, Writers Guild is a possibility considering how weak the category is. Hamnet, I don't know. I've just not been very confident in that film. Nirvana, the band, the movie, Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. I still don't know anything about this film, really. I've heard, the pundits like, Brother Bro and, Matt Neglia talk about it, but I'm just like, it just doesn't sound like an Oscars thing. Kiss of the Spider-Woman, and I'm going to lump this in with Wicked as well, Wicked for Good. And I'm not going to do it because, I'm not going to do adapted screenplay for them because Like, stage musicals do not really get nominated for screenplay categories. Again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Like, the only film in the 21st century, the only musical adaptation to be nominated for adapted screenplay was Chicago, and some people will say, well, that was winning Best Picture, that's why it got nominated, and I don't think so. I think with adapted screenplay, it's a little bit different, because if you're based on a stage show and you stick too closely to the dialogue and stick too closely to the structure of the show, then you can get snubbed because it's not really fully an adaptation. That's what happened with The Whale, that's what happened with The Tragedy in Macbeth. And with Chicago, it wasn't just taking the stage show or script and putting it into a film. Like, it literally restructured how the show was made. So that's the problem. I don't think, I think it's going to be a little bit. I think because Chicago was so much more different than from the stage musical. I think that's why it got into the Writers Guild Awards. So yeah, but whereas with Kiss of the Spider Woman and Wicked for Good, I mean, yeah, even people were saying, well, Wicked's going to get in because they split the movie into two categories. Not two categories, but they split the movie in two. And I did say that could be an argument you would make. That, hey, they did split the movie into two, but ultimately, look what happened. It still wasn't enough. Because, again, even from the people that I was talking to, they were saying, yeah, the changes are really more with the pacing, not really with the story. So, or even really the structure of the story. So, Wicked did not get nominated, and I don't think Wicked for Good is going to get nominated either. And same thing with Kiss of the Spider Woman. So yeah. Avatar, Fire and Ash, even The Way of Water couldn't get into the Writers Guild Awards, so I'm going to say no to that. Hedda, The Collaboration, The Memory Police, I don't know. I don't even know if The Memory Police is even coming out this year. Zootopia 2, The Roses, I don't know. Clara and the Sun, The Naked Gun. I'm only putting Naked Gun here because there might be a chance it could get nominated for the Writers Guild Awards if it's really, really successful, but I doubt it. And then Long Day's Journey into Night, that movie is probably not even coming out this year. So, yeah. Not too many changes, but those are my director, original screenplay, and adapted screenplay Oscar predictions for July. Now, I'm going to pass the question off to you. What are your Oscar predictions for July in the director and screenplay categories? And stay tuned for next week, because next week will be the acting categories. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and be sure you hit that subscribe button, because if you don't, you're going to be Clara and the Sun.